Have you ever wondered what happens when the lights go out? It's not just in your home, but across an entire city. What happens when the lifeline of a hospital, humming with machines that keep people alive, is suddenly cut? Today, we're telling a story that answers that question. It's a story about the heroes you never see, the ones who work in the shadows so the rest of us can live in the light. So grab a seat and let's dive into a night that one city will never forget. The rain was relentless that night, coming down in sheets that blurred the world into a watercolor painting of gray and black. Below, the city was a constellation of a million tiny stars, a sprawling galaxy of light and life. But a storm was brewing, not just in the sky, but deep within the grid that powered this concrete jungle. And then it happened. One by one, block by block, the stars blinked out, the galaxy went dark. A city of millions plunged into an unnerving silence, broken only by the sound of the downpour. This wasn't just a blackout, it was a crisis. Inside the city's main hospital, the sudden darkness was met with a chorus of beeps and alarms. The backup generators kicked in, a guttural roar that brought a dim, flickering life back to the hallways. But everyone knew the truth. Generators run on fuel. They're a temporary fix, a ticking clock. The real problem was out there, somewhere in the tangled web of wires and substations that crisscrossed the city. And in that hospital, lives were literally hanging by a thread of emergency power. In the neonatal unit, tiny incubators fought to maintain their precious warmth. In the ICU, ventilators pushed air into lungs that couldn't breathe on their own. Each beep of the monitor was a countdown. Miles away, a phone rang, cutting through the quiet of a modest home. Leo picked it up. He was a Power Grid Technician, a veteran of 2 decades. He knew this call. The voice on the other end was urgent, painting a grim picture. A cascading failure in the central grid, a citywide outage, and a hospital running on borrowed time. There was no hesitation in his voice, just a calm, "I'm on my way." He didn't need a special suit or a fancy name. His tools were a lifetime of experience, a deep understanding of the city's electrical pulse, and a well-worn set of wrenches. As he drove through the darkened streets, the rain hammering against his windshield, he wasn't just heading to a job, he was heading into the heart of the storm. His truck, a beacon of yellow in the oppressive dark, navigated the ghost-like city. His destination was Substation 7, the heart of the grid and the suspected epicenter of the failure. The place was a fortress of steel and porcelain, humming with immense invisible power. Even in the blackout, it felt alive, dangerous. The air crackled with a tension you could almost taste. Stepping out into the storm, the rain immediately soaked him. The wind howled like a wounded animal. This was his arena. Inside the control room, the scene was one of ordered chaos. Diagrams and schematics were spread across the main table, illuminated by the beam of his flashlight. He traced the lines with his finger, his mind a map of the entire network. He saw the cascade failure, the domino effect that had brought the city to its knees. The problem was a primary transformer overload, fried by a lightning strike. A catastrophic failure. It wasn't a simple flip of a switch. It meant he had to manually reroute power, bypassing the dead heart of the system and creating a new pathway, a new artery to feed the hospital. It was a delicate, high-stakes surgery on the city's nervous system. He worked with a focused intensity, his hands moving with a certainty that defied the chaos swirling around him. He communicated with his team over the radio, his voice a steady anchor in the storm. "We're going to bypass the primary trunk, redirecting flow through the auxiliary lines. Get ready to energize Sector 4 on my mark." Every connection he made, every lever he pulled, was a calculated risk. One wrong move could send a surge that would fry the very equipment he was trying to save, or worse. The pressure was immense. He could almost hear the ticking clock from the hospital, feel the weight of every life depending on him. Hours bled into one another. The rain didn't stop. The wind didn't cease. But slowly, painstakingly, he was rebuilding the broken network. He was like a weaver, taking frayed and broken threads and meticulously tying them back together, creating a new tapestry of power. He was cold, he was tired, he was soaked to the bone, but he never stopped. He thought about the doctors and nurses working under the flickering emergency lights, thought about the patients whose lives depended on the steady hum of a machine. This wasn't just about electricity, it was about connection, about life. about hope. Back at the hospital, the fuel gauges on the generators were dipping into the red. The mood was tense. Nurses double-checked batteries on portable equipment. Doctors made contingency plans. Every minute felt like an hour. The chief of surgery stood by a window, staring out into the black abyss of the city, whispering a prayer, and then a flicker. It was so faint, they thought they'd imagined it. But then it came again, stronger this time. The overhead lights in the hallway buzzed, hesitated, and then flooded the corridor with a bright, clean, unwavering light. A cheer erupted. It started in the nurses' station and spread through the hallways like a wave. The guttural roar of the generators died down, replaced by the familiar, life-affirming hum of the main power grid. The ventilators breathed easier. The incubators held their warmth. The crisis was over. Across the city, in that lonely substation, Leo leaned against a control panel, his work finally done. He looked out at the city, and in the distance, he saw it. A single light in a window, then another, and another. The constellation was returning, star by star. He had rerouted enough power to the hospital's dedicated line. The city would take longer, but the most critical battle was won. He didn't get a parade. He didn't get a medal. His name wasn't in the headlines the next day. Just packed up his tools, got back in his yellow truck, and drove home through the slowly reawakening streets as the dawn began to break, painting the eastern sky in shades of gray and pink. He was just a man who knew his job, a man who answered the call in the middle of the night. But on that night, to a hospital full of people, he was more than a technician. He was a lifesaver. This story is a powerful reminder that heroes are all around us. They aren't always the ones in the spotlight. They're the Power Grid Technicians, the first responders, the sanitation workers, the nurses, the teachers, are the people who, with courage and skill, keep our world running. They perform small acts of bravery and dedication every single day, acts that ripple outwards in ways we may never even see. They don't need a cape, they just need to know their work matters. So the next time you flip a switch and the light comes on, take a moment. Think about the invisible network and the dedicated people who maintain it. Think about the Leo in your city, the unsung hero working behind the scenes. This story isn't just about a blackout. It's about our interconnectedness and the quiet, everyday heroism that holds our society together. What did you think of Leo's story? Let me know in the comments below. Who are the unsung heroes in your community? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining us for this story, if you found it inspiring. Please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that shines a light on the extraordinary and the ordinary. Stay safe, stay bright, and we'll see you in the next one.